What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Davidson Boswell Show. Thanks for tuning in. Have one of my oldest friends in comedy on the screen here today, interviewing him. He is a comedian and political activist here in New York City. Freddy G, thank you so
Oh,
much for
so
coming
happy to be
on.
here, Davidson.
Yeah, man. Big reason I wanted to have you on is there are a lot of Jewish anti-Zionist voices becoming more and more prevalent. And I think it's doubly effective to have someone who understands the ideology of Zionism, has seen it up close, and has rejected it. So I wanted to know kind of growing up, what your relationship to it was. I know you're come from the Jewish faith, so what your relationship was to Zionism. I know you went on Birthright, and how you kind of came to reject that ideology.
Yeah. When I was 5, I went to a Zionist Jewish day school. It was like conservative Judaism. So they don't do all the religious stuff, but they're pretty judgy about what they do. And it was very much pounded into you there that like Israel's our home country. We love Israel. And yeah, like you should aspire to visit it. You should hope maybe even move there. We were too young because we were only 5 to 13, so we were too young to get recruited to the IDF. But there was very much. There's even a thing like we just had Rosh
Come on, you're not
Hashanah.
too young. You'd be the same age as the people they're killing. You know,
Oh yeah,
it'd be a
yeah, it'd be a
fair
fair
fight.
fight, especially if it's only me. Yeah, because I was not a fighter. Yeah, there was even so we would be very much like, okay, so Rosh Hashanah just came up, and
Right.
you have to do an extra day for Rosh Hashanah if you're not in Israel. So there's very much a thing of like, well, you guys are kind of cheating the religion by not being in Israel, even though obviously the
Whoa.
religion started in the quote unquote diaspora or whatever, and generations of my family all came from Eastern Europe.
I see. So, that's interesting. Were you aware that, because I went to vacation Bible school, which is the Christian version of this, and my evangelical church that I grew up in actually takes trips to the Holy Land, like to do free labor for Zionists. They essentially like work on their like vineyards and stuff like that they've stolen from Palestinians. It's all very deeply intertwined. You don't realize you're getting propagandized. When did it start to like hit you? You're like, wait, this doesn't really line up with what my politics are, what my worldview is. Like, when did the kind of the pillars of the propaganda start to crumble?
I at least started learning stuff in college. Because in high school, I was pretty sheltered. I was just focusing on dealing with high school.
Right.
And then, yeah, so in
Getting through
college,
that.
at least I was meeting people who were pro Palestine. And I did take a war and terrorism class. And at least, like, this guy, Ali Majrouhi in Binghamton, a professor, spoke. And he explained, like, well, Arab's a language and Islam's a religion, like, just explaining, like, kind of the basics of it. So at least I was getting a little bit more of that. Um, and I mean, I kind of just was fading away from the Zionism. I hadn't been in the Jewish school for a while. Then at the end of college, I did go on Birthright. And the thing with Birthright as Jewish, it's just like, oh, it's a free trip to Israel. Israel's a beautiful place. So you're not thinking of it as ideological if you're like me. You're kind of just, oh, I'll take a free trip or whatever. I guess people
Right.
think they're going
Yeah.
to go on Birthright and get laid. I do want to disprove that stereotype. Not all Jews get laid on Birthright. It's only 10 days. And I
Living
needed
proof
my
right
sleep.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, they scheduled
So,
it too tightly. If you wanted 8 hours sleep, you couldn't stay up and party. That took away from my potential for getting laid hours.
so was there? Okay, so I've actually heard this about other people that went on Birthright. Is that they briefly bring up the fact that there's such a thing as Palestine, but they often will put those lessons like after in the morning after a night of like heavy drinking. Like they're like, yeah, let's get you nice and hungover, bleary eyed, and we'll tell you about the complicated nature. Or was it completely glossed over? Was there like, did you see the wall? Did you see any of the checkpoints? I don't mean the like Wailing Wall. I mean like
I
the
only saw, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we spend way too much time at the Wailing Wall. The Wailing Wall very boring. Yeah, I was
right.
at the Wailing Wall and I got bored. The man like 3, 4 times. And I wrote, "There is no God," because I was writing an atheist and I stuck it in the wall. Maybe that's responsible for bad luck I've had since then. So yeah, they drove us by. I think it was the security fence. It was just being built. This is '05, so there was still very much an apartheid, but it was a lot of the stuff we think of now was being built. And they would mention
Interesting.
terrorism. I mean, there wasn't too much about the Palestinians. I think I remember them mentioning the Golan Heights and like how sad it would be if they have to give it back or whatever. Though by now it's been pretty much fully annexed.
Right, and that's the Golan Heights is in Syria, right? That's where they took it from.
Oh yeah, correct.
Okay,
Yeah, and
so
it's like north and a little bit east, and if you go from Israel or whatever, the borders are all there's a lot of borders. It's a small area, and they were all just made by guys in Europe who may or may not have been to Israel, Palestine.
and what has been the reaction in your family, in your circle, as you like, because you are very vocal online. Like you'll wear the keffiyeh, you'll talk about the violence in the West Bank, you'll call the IDF terrorists. Like you don't pull punches. So what is the reaction? Because this I think is very important for people to hear because you do sacrifice some of your relationships when you start to say free Palestine. If you come from, I come from the evangelical Christian world, you come from the Jewish diaspora. So what is the reaction been from your family, from your friends, as you've like become really vocal in the last few years?
Yeah, I'm lucky. My family is very secular Jews. They never, they went from Europe to America in the early 1900s. Israel wasn't a country. No one's ever really visited, so they don't really care. My wife's Jewish, but she actually was always anti-Zionist. And I remember at some points I'd be like, maybe we should go to Israel and visit because I was like kind of neutral or whatever. And she was like, I don't want to go there. She always kind of thought it was bad and could understand, but she's also she's a pacifist, and Israel's the opposite of that. So it doesn't really mesh too well. Obviously, she's become even more pro-Palestine learning now that I've been reading all these books and everything. But yeah,
Right.
a lot of the friends I made growing up were at the Zionist school. And then, and some I've kept in touch with. But yeah, I lost my best friend. I lost. I realized he wasn't responding to the group chat in October of 2023, and then by December, I had the courage to text him, and he said he didn't want to talk to me anymore. And it was it's very sad. I dream about him almost every day. It's a lot. And it happened to be 3 months after my dad died, and my best friend was very helpful when my dad died. So it's rough. It's been a lot of mourning. I had to go back to therapy for it. It's been a lot. And then when I went to therapy, because New York, a lot of the therapists are Jewish, I had to put in the form like can't be a Zionist because it would have been way too awkward. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's such a mind fuck what Zionism is and what I guess because you're literally advocating against genocide and apartheid, and New York is such an ostensibly liberal place, So these are people that are like pro gay marriage, encourage people to have empathy for others, but it seems to stop at Palestine. And it's just unbelievable to me that there would be therapists out there that are like, no, Israel has the right to kill people, but let's hear about your mom or whatever. It doesn't really jive.
Oh yeah. I assume there's a lot of stuff. I think there's an article in the Times about it now. People, having ish because among younger Jews, Israel is not that popular by
Mhm.
percentages, but by older Jews, it's very much popular. And it kind of goes back to this people who were the age when they saw the movie Exodus, which is about a boat full of Jews being denied into Palestine. It's a propaganda movie. I think it came out in the 50s, 60s. And people from the generation that grew up with that movie think of it differently. It is also a matter if you grew up before 67, Israel was seen as less powerful. They had done the Nakba. I don't know how much people knew about the Nakba. A lot of the information about the Nakba is in books that came out in the past 10 years, at least among the Jewish community.
Yeah,
So people think of Israel as the underdog. Yeah.
I had never heard of it before October 7th, and that's like knowledge is power. People would hang like banners off of bridges on freeways and be like, Google the Nakba, like, hey, learn about this shit. Um, okay, so I guess just to wrap that up, do you see more people coming unglued from the propaganda? Are you noticing a trend? Like, have you seen like people being more vocal, or do you think it's still startlingly low percentages of people that kind of grew up with the same propaganda that you did, that are just kind of trapped in the kind of Stockholm syndrome ideology?
So I think the biggest group of Jews in New York is people who want to avoid it. And I was in that group, let's say 2006 to 2021. So there's a huge percentage of Jews who are like, well, it doesn't seem good. There's no upside to this. I don't want to lose any work or friends. So I think the avoidant Jews is actually the biggest group. I'm not sure how you'd capture them in a poll, and
Yeah,
we need them to speak up. Also, the avoidant just other Americans because it's still an American issue. It's an American ally. So
right.
yeah, Jews maybe have a little more responsibility to talk about it. But yeah, I do think everyone there's just a lot of avoidant. Yeah, like I guess you grew up evangelical. You're very political. Most white people like you, like you're from like you're from Virginia, I believe you, or North Carolina.
North Carolina, but yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
most white people from not a big metro area, they don't talk about Israel. Like you go upstate and you do comedy, I don't know what they even know about Israel.
No, yeah. I mean, we have to be mindful that we are like constantly reinforcing our algorithms all the time,
Yeah.
like they're constantly like feeding us. So, okay, so um I think one of the biggest wins, and I get a lot of pushback from people even further to the left than me, which they're, believe it or not, it exists,
Oh,
but
of course.
people that are like no electoral politics ever. That's kind of their, stance. They're like change will never come from within the system. There needs to be wholesale ripped down, which sometimes I do agree with that when you particularly see backsliding from like mainstream Democrat politicians. But I think people have become really inspired. I'm wearing, my Zohran t-shirt now. So tell me, how do you feel about Zoran's chances in the upcoming debate, and what do you mean? What do you think it means for like the political direction of the country? Do you think it's just like a New York thing, or do you think this portends like maybe more of an appetite for socialism in the United States?
So it's amazing. Yeah, it's very hopeful. Also, yeah, electoral politics, it's just one of the tools. I even think like the Bolsheviks back in 1917, like they were running in elections, then they did a coup. I've been reading a lot about that story, about that whole history. I mean, there's a lot of like random things and luck that happened that like it's not like Lenin drew up a plan in like 1916 and they executed it. Like it was pretty complicated. You can use electoral politics as a tool. Like if Zoran wins is going to freeze my rent, that's important. Then I'll have more money maybe to donate to the cause or whatever, or just to live on. So that's really good. Yeah, and so I don't like when people say, "Oh, Zoran's a once in a generation politician," because that's saying we can't do it again. And then
Right.
already there's a guy, Abdul El Said, running for Senate in Michigan, and he's not a Zoran clone. He was around before Zoran. I remember listening to him on the Pod Save America network. He's run for stuff. I mean, Zoran was just becoming a citizen and getting active, and Abdul El Sayed was around. So you need someone with good policies who can talk pretty good and maybe is likable or whatever and willing to kind of get out there and do it. But yeah, we can bloom 1,000 Zorans. There's other people who talk well. And the reason no one knew who Zoran was, and then he makes good videos, but only people knew about him because the DSA told them. And
Right.
the DSA can tell people about other people. And yeah, there's other people as at least someone as charismatic as Zoran, or they have other strength. They might have other strengths that Zoran doesn't have because everyone's unique.
Well, something that I thought was like really galvanizing for the movement and like told me that people were changing their minds on this issue was that very viral moment that happened during the debates where they were like, "Where's the first place you're going to go?" And everyone said Israel, and he was like, "I'm going to stay here." And that was like that registered. Anyone under 40 was like, "Yeah, why would you go to Israel?" So that kind of shows me the. So what do you think? What do you think about this kind of cadre of billionaires that are attempting to essentially um, stop him from becoming mayor? They're throwing all their money behind Cuomo. And do you buy into this notion that there's going to be rich flight from New York if Zoran wins? The tax base will diminish. I'm kind of the opinion that like no you won't, because being rich in New York is fun and there's no reason like go move to fucking Florida and get measles, you know what I mean? Like so what do you buy, how do you like take that argument that like this is going to encourage rich people to get out of New York?
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about it. Yeah, it's a big market. A lot of people here. People love living in New York. It takes a lot to move. Also, it just, I mean, if some rich people move, I think we'll be all right. Maybe some prices go down. I think the businesses are still here. And if you do business in New York, you're still affected by the taxes. Zoran's pointed that out. So yeah, the big thing is that's an argument that rich people tell the media to say so that people will not tax them. Yeah, and I think overall Zoran has a good chance. The problem is that Adams wasn't a good candidate, and then they put all their eggs in the Cuomo basket. And then Cuomo was not a great candidate. Ran a really weak campaign in the primary, and he doesn't really have another gear. So Zoran's a big favorite. Even some of the Adams voters might vote for Zoran because people might just dislike Cuomo. People in New York will be like, "Well, I don't like Cuomo. I'm not voting for him." These are very personal. things. And
He
also, yeah,
killed
like
my
Slee was,
grandma.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. And also, if you're an older person, a lot of older people live in rent stabilized places, and then when it comes down to vote, people will vote for their economic interests. So they might not like Zoran, but then comes down to it, they'll be like, well, I'm going to save 4% of my rent in 2026 if I vote for him, and that is powerful. Same thing, free buses. A lot of his policies are actually geared towards older New Yorkers. Because younger New Yorkers are not taking the bus as much or living in rent stabilized places. So we
That's
actually
true.
got young people excited by programs that help older people. The child care helps, I mean, not the youngest of people, not like a 22-year-old poly person in Bushwick. It's probably going to help a parent who's maybe in their 30s or 40s. So he actually is giving people carrots to vote for him, even if they're a little bit older.
Yeah, that's I love the statistic. More people take buses every day than live in North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, and Wyoming combined. You know, like it is
Um,
literally an entire it's 4 states worth of people that use the bus. So to make that free is like an FDR level, you know, social program that's like just going to lift so many people all at once.
yeah,
Who
the bus in New York. Let me say, yeah, bus in New York is very underrated. They get you everywhere. They're except for the midtown ones, they're not that slow. And the nice thing about the bus is it's not hot people, so you feel hot when you're on the bus. The people in the subway are still hot, but yeah, they're
uh,
not. Yeah, so you feel you're around the real New Yorkers. If he
right.
made the express buses free, which I don't know what if the program covers that would actually get people even in Staten Island to like him, is they don't have a subway. So there's all kinds of bus stuff happening that can really win people over, and people will vote with their pocketbook.
Totally, totally. All right, so let's talk about, I guess, kind of the current like hopelessness of the moment. How we have this kind of proto-fascist, neo-fascist, I would call, not proto-fascist, neo-fascist gangster in the office right now, and he's kind of using extortion methods in order to kind of encourage compliance with his vision of white nationalism. So, do you think if Zoran wins, do you see the fight between the federal government and New York escalating? And what do you think are effective ways that people can fight back in their everyday lives against this kind of creeping, evil?
I think it will escalate. But the one thing with Zoran is he is going to at least stand up and fight. He is
Mm-hmm.
a little charming too. There's always a chance you get in the room with Trump and you charm him. At one point in late 2016, Obama and Trump were getting along because Obama was helping with the transition. So like there is a thing of Trump. There is a personal relationship thing. Zoran might be able to get in the room and maybe say something nice. He's charming. Like I saw him on The View, and it's like they had been bashing him probably in the past, but he was like he's a sweet boy. So that is helpful. But yeah, things
Reminds me
will
of
escalate.
my nephew. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
type deal.
Yeah, I mean, people. Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, people need to. Yeah, I mean, people being organized and being ready to help Zoran. It's not that he doesn't get elected and you quote unquote go to brunch.
Right.
You need the orgs helping him, especially even you need people pushing Hochul to pass taxes because she'll be in an election year and she need in your election year Hochul you got to fund the free childcare and the free buses. So there
Oh,
is
that's so
it's
true.
him winning is not the end of it. And it does it helps a lot. Or for instance, Trump will be in a midterm year. So I mean, assuming we're having free elections, I mean, people have incentives. People and Zoran will have a few years. I would also tell people I don't think people should vote for this thing where they want to move the mayoral election up to the presidential year. I think it's good to have it in a separate year, and also that would cut Zoran's term down to 3 years. So it's like we're going to get Zoran and we're going to lose a year, a potential year of freezing the rent. So I don't really like that idea too much.
Okay, yeah, I hadn't even heard of that. So,
It's a ballot measure. You'll hear about it coming up, but yeah, I don't really like that ballot measure too much. That's the more exciting voting is the ballot measure because I know I'm going to vote for Zoran.
okay, yeah, there you go. All right, so do you see? And I know this is like you don't have a crystal ball or anything like that, but do you see like the National Guard coming into New York? Like, could you see that? Like, I mean, people forget that Kathy Hochul put the National Guard in our subways, but it was done under the like uh, auspices or the like cloak and dagger of like, oh yeah, safety or whatever. But it wasn't invasive in the sense that they weren't like going into people's houses, violating the Third Amendment type deal. But it was, I don't know. What would you say the likelihood? It seems like if Cuomo wins, they won't do it, and if Zohran does, they will. Does that
Yeah,
register
I'm
to
not ready
you?
to
Or,
rule out anything bad. It's yeah,
yeah.
it's scary. Yeah. I mean, I try to be hopeful and like we got to focus on what we can do. But yeah, it's yeah, it's tough. Yeah, and yeah, they were already there for the fare evasion on the subway,
Mm-hmm.
which definitely didn't save any money. Yeah,
I
so
know.
it's yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I mean, I hear what they're doing in L.A. There's an interview with the L.A. Taco guy. How they have these these groups, response groups, and they tell people like, oh, the ICE car is there, so then hi, if you're in like the Home Depot parking lot, go to a safe place and stuff like that. So yeah, there is like communication and stuff like that that's helpful. But yeah, like we don't have. I mean, maybe there's some big rallies, but like we're not capable of doing a general strike like about Gaza the way like Italy is or whatever. So we have a long way to go. And then yeah, I'm still learning. I've only been this far left for like about 5 years. So yeah, like they're like, oh, American leftists, they're still like kind of learning how to do stuff. It's like, yeah, I definitely am. And I've at least read a lot of the history, but yeah, there's a lot for me to learn.
Yeah, that's the problem with I guess just having such a low union membership in the United States is there's not an actual structure in place for like instantaneous striking, stuff like that. You have to kind of educate and organize and educate and organize. Okay, so what is next for you, man? Like, what is are there? I know that me and let's plug this.
Oh,
We're doing a
absolutely.
roast of Andrew Cuomo together, which I'm super excited about. That's October 17th. Where is that again?
That's at Silo and Bushwick. It's a really, it's like it's an excuse to go to like a cool nightclub for me. I mean, it's at 7:30, so there won't be nightclub stuff going. We
Right.
get to be in this big room, and the last we did one in April. It's very exciting. And when we did it, Zoran was losing big, and then and we still saw so much excitement to roast Cuomo. We're gonna roast Adams a little bit too. He dropped out, but he's still roastable.
Yes.
The other
Yeah.
good thing is Cuomo's done a lot of dumb things just since April. So even if he came to the previous one, there's new things to joke about. He did an AI video where he works every job. So
Right.
that's already just that video could be a whole roast.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's like he couldn't find three people that like him, so he had to be. All right, man. So, what else? Anything else you would like to plug before we
Oh,
say
definitely my
goodbye?
social media. I'm making videos. I talk about Palestine. I put out jokes at Orange Freddy G. Yeah, working on more big projects. Hoping to do a special at some point, maybe a one person show. Yeah, getting a lot of stuff going. But yeah, I'll have dates and stuff like that, and just videos. And yeah, at Orange Freddy G on all the platforms. And yeah, I post stuff everywhere. And yeah, also yeah, just good at providing information. And yeah, my Instagram story, I'll really go off on what's going on in the day.
Yeah, man. I learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for doing the show. Please stick around for a second after I click stop because it needs to upload. But
Oh,
great to
absolutely.
see
Yeah,
you.
I'm a veteran of these. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Great to see you, man. Have a good day.
Bye
Bye.
bye.